The stars were once empty to humans. They looked up for thousands of years, dreaming but never touching them. Then came the ships, slow at first, then faster. Then came the colonies, the outposts, the silent steps into the dark. Humanity had grown quiet in its rise. Most of the galaxy didn't notice. Why would they? Humans were loud, messy, and new. They had only just begun to spread beyond their own world. To the older species, the Virex, the Terrellians, the Zellari, they were like ants building hills in the dirt, not worth attention, not worth fear. But the humans kept moving. They built stations on cold moons and rocky planets far from the galactic core. They mined asteroids with machines that worked without sleep. They learned how to live in places no one else wanted. And they did it fast. In a few short decades, what started as small outposts became cities in space. What began as simple mining rigs turned into shipyards capable of building massive vessels. The humans didn't ask permission. They didn't beg for a place among the stars. They just took it, and still, no one noticed. A new kind of people, Ethan. Blake stood on the edge of a cliff on Callus 9 watching the sky darken. It wasn't Earth's sky. This sky was red and heavy with dust. But he liked it better than Earth. There was more room here, more freedom. He used to be a soldier. Now he was the security chief of a mining colony. Not much different, really. Just fewer rules and more danger. Callus 9 was one of the outer colonies. Far from Earth, far from anyone who cared. The planet had nothing but rocks and metals beneath its surface. That made it valuable. The humans dug deep and pulled out what they needed. The colony had grown fast. What started as a handful of tents and machines now stretched across miles of land. There were homes, labs, even a school. Kids ran around in suits too big for them, pretending to be pilots or soldiers. Some even wore helmets twice their size, trying to look tough. Ethan smiled when he saw them. He remembered being like that. Once, before the war, before everything changed. "You think we're safe?" asked a voice behind him. He turned. It was Maya Torres, the lead engineer. She wore a jacket covered in tools and a tired smile. "Safe?" Ethan said, raising an eyebrow. "On a planet where the air can kill you if your suit leaks?" "Sure." Maya laughed. "I mean from the others. The aliens, yeah." Ethan looked back at the sky. "They don't care about us. Not yet." "They will," she said. "If we keep growing." "We're already growing," he said. "And they still don't see us." Maya walked beside him. "That's what worries me." The hidden truth back on Earth. Things were different. Daniel Harper sat in a tall building in Washington looking out over the city. He was a senator now, a man with power. But he didn't feel powerful. He felt trapped. Earth was still fighting itself. Old governments clung to control. Big companies tried to run everything, and the people, they were tired. Tired of war, tired of lies, tired of waiting for something better. But something better was already happening. Out there, beyond the orbit of Mars, humanity was building a future. One that Earth couldn't stop. Daniel had seen the reports. The colonies were growing faster than expected. Ships were being built in secret. Weapons were being tested. AI systems were learning on their own. No one had told Earth. No one had asked permission. He knew what it meant. Humanity was preparing for something. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. "We need to move forward," he whispered to himself. But the old world didn't want to move. It wanted to hold on. The Virex watch, from afar. In a dark part of space, far from human eyes, a meeting was taking place. The Virex conquered, a group of alien races that ruled most of the known galaxy, gathered in silence. Their ships floated, like shadows around a large station shaped like a ring. Inside, the leaders of the Virex spoke in low voices. One of them, a tall being with silver skin and glowing eyes, tapped a screen. Images of human colonies appeared. "They expand," he said. "But slowly, they are not a threat." Another Virex, shorter and with rough skin like stone, frowned. They build ships, weapons. They do not ask for trade. They do not send ambassadors. A third voice joined. They are not ready. They are young. They have not earned a place. They should not be allowed to grow unchecked, said the first. But they are not breaking any laws, said another. Yet. There was a pause. Then, the leader of the meeting, a being wrapped in flowing robes of black light, finally spoke. Watch them, he said. Do not act unless they threaten the balance. And if they do? Asked one. Then we remind them, said the leader, who truly owns the stars. The Human Edge-On. A hidden moon orbiting a dead star, a secret project was underway. It was called Project Dawn. Only a few humans knew about it. Even fewer were allowed inside. Maya Torres was one of them. She stood in a lab filled with machines that hummed softly. On the other side of the room, a team of engineers worked on a strange device, a fusion drive unlike anything ever built before. It was faster, smarter, more efficient, and it was human-made. Maya watched as a test began. The machine lit up, sending energy through the room like lightning. The head scientist, a quiet man named Dr. Lin, nodded. It works, better than expected. How long until we can install this on a ship? Maya asked. Weeks, he said. Maybe less. She smiled. Good. This drive would change everything. It could push human ships farther, faster. It could take them places no one else had gone, and it was only one piece of the puzzle. Human scientists had been studying captured alien tech for years. They had taken pieces from crashed ships, broken weapons, damaged drones. They had studied them, copied them, improved them, and now they were making something new, something better. The first warning, it happened near the edge of known space. A human research station called Orion Outpost was built on the outskirts of a gas giant. Its job was to study radiation patterns and gravitational waves. No one expected trouble until the Virex arrived. 3 alien patrol ships dropped out of hyperspace and surrounded the station. Their hulls were dark and smooth. Their weapons were pointed at the humans. A message came through. This territory is under Virex control. You are trespassing. Leave immediately. The commander of the station, a woman named Commander Lillian, Hayes responded calmly. We are conducting peaceful research. We are not armed. We request peaceful passage. The Virex gave no reply. Instead, they opened fire. The station exploded in seconds. No survivors. Silence and steel. When news of the attack reached Earth, it spread like wildfire. People were angry. Politicians argued. Military leaders met behind closed doors. But the humans did not strike back. Not yet. Instead, they prepared. Shipyards on Luna and Mars went into overdrive. Factories on Earth built armor, weapons, and supplies. Scientists worked day and night, and in the colonies the people got ready. Ethan Blake trained his Marines harder than ever. Maya Torres oversaw the final tests of the new drive system. Daniel Harper gave speeches urging unity, and in secret, a new fleet was being built, not for peace, for war. The quiet storm humanity did not cry for revenge. They did not shout their anger to the stars. They stayed quiet, because they knew something the Virex did not. They were not afraid. They had lost so much on Earth. Wars, famine, disease, division. But out here, in the cold dark of space, they had found purpose. They were building a home. And no one, not the Virex, not the Tyrellians, not anyone, was going to take it from them. So while the galaxy slept, humanity rose, quietly, strongly, unstoppable. The stars were silent once more after the destruction of Orion Outpost. But down on Earth in the colonies, and aboard hidden ships, something had changed. Ethan Blake stood in front of his team on Callus 9. His face was hard. His voice was calm. We just lost a station, he said. No warning, no reason, they shot first. The Marines around him didn't speak. They didn't need to. They already knew what it meant. They think we're weak, Ethan continued. They think we won't fight back. One of the younger soldiers raised a hand. What do we do? Ethan looked at them all. We show them who we are. A message in the dark. Maya Torres sat in her lab, staring at a screen filled with data. The new FTL drive, Project Dawn, was ready for testing. But now there was a new urgency. She tapped her communicator. This is Torres, she said. I need a secure line to Luna Command. A few seconds passed before a voice came through. You're connected. Send this to all human command centers, Maya said. The Virex attacked Orion outpost without cause. We must prepare for retaliation. I repeat, we must prepare for retaliation. She paused. And tell the fleet, Project Dawn is online. Tucker. On Earth, the storm gathers. Daniel Harper stood in the middle of a crowded room in Washington. Around him, politicians argued. Some wanted peace, some wanted talks, some wanted nothing at all. But Daniel saw the truth. He stepped up to the microphone. Our people are dying out there, he said. Not from accidents, not from disease, from attack. He looked around the room. For too long, we have waited. For too long, we have asked for permission to exist. Well, I say no more. There was silence. The Virex don't see us as equals, he went on. They see us as bugs, as trash. And if we don't stand up now, we will lose everything we've built. He pointed toward the sky. We are not going back. We are not asking for mercy. We are taking our place among the stars. And then, for the first time in years, someone clapped. Then another. Then the whole room. A silent fleet rises, far beyond Earth, hidden behind an asteroid belt near the edge of human space, a fleet of ships powered up. They were sleek, fast, designed to move without leaving a trace. At the center of the fleet was the USS Liberty, the flagship of the newly formed Terran Defense Fleet. On the bridge, Commander James Holloway watched the stars through a wide window. All ships report. Ready, said his XO, Lieutenant Karen Reyes. James nodded. Good. He turned to the crew. We are not here to start a war, he said. We are here to protect our own. And if the Virex want to test us again, he smiled slightly. Then let's make sure they remember the name human for a very long time. On the target back on Callus 9, Ethan Blake reviewed the mission. We got a lead, he said to his team. A Virex convoy seized a human freighter called Endeavor, took the crew, took the cargo. No reason, no talk. His second-in-command, Corporal Lena Cruz, frowned. What's the plan? Ethan looked at the map on the table. We take it back. Lena raised an eyebrow. How? We hit them where they don't expect, Ethan said. We go in quiet. We get the crew out and we leave a message. Lena grinned. What kind of message? Ethan picked up his rifle. One that says we're done playing nice. Lecriered the rescue. The operation began under cover of darkness. 3 dropships flew silently through space, guided by AI systems that kept them off enemy sensors. Inside one of them, Ethan and his team waited. 5 minutes out, said the pilot. Ethan checked his gear. Everyone else did the same. Remember, he said. Quiet until we're inside, then chaos. They landed on the side of the Virex convoy ship. It was a massive alien vessel, dark and cold-looking. Using magnetic boots, Ethan led the team along the hull. They reached a maintenance hatch and cut through it. Inside, alarms blared. Virex guards rushed forward, but they were met with precise gunfire and quick movements. The humans moved like shadows. Within minutes, they found the captured Endeavor. Crew locked in holding cells. Open them, Ethan ordered. As soon as the doors opened, the freed crew looked stunned. Are you real? One of them asked. Ethan smirked. Yeah, and we brought presents. Outside, explosions rocked the ship. Maya Torres had timed it perfectly. The AI drones she'd helped design launched themselves into the Virex convoy, slicing through defenses like knives through paper. By the time the Virex realized what was happening, half their fleet was destroyed, and the USS Liberty hovered above the wreckage like a ghost. The broadcast back on Earth, Daniel Harper stood before the world. "Today," he said, "we showed the galaxy that we are not afraid." Behind him, footage played, of the rescue, of the battle, of the Virex ships burning in space. "We did not ask for this war," he said, "but we will finish it." He looked straight into the camera. To every species watching, humanity is here. We are not your subjects. We are not your tools. We are not your enemies unless you make us so. He took a breath. But if you choose to fight us, be ready to lose. Fallout among the stars in the Virex capital. Panic spread. The leaders gathered in secret chambers, voices rising in anger and fear. "They struck back," said one. "With what?" asked another. "Stealth, speed, weapons unlike anything we've seen." "They were supposed to be primitive," growled a third. "They were never primitive," said the leader. "We just refused to see it." Across the Virex Concord, messages were sent. Prepare for war. Increase patrols. Find the source of their technology. But it was too late. Humanity had made its move, and the Virex were scared. The new normal life on Callus 9 changed after the mission. People walked taller. Children played with toy ships instead of old Earth cars. Workers talked about joining the defense forces instead of returning home. Ethan Blake became a symbol, not because he wanted to, but because people needed heroes. Maya Torres was promoted to head of advanced tech development. Her work on AI drones and stealth drives made her a key figure in the new war effort. And Daniel Harper? He was now the most powerful man on Earth. But he didn't care about power. He cared about survival. And he knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning. A hidden enemy in the far reaches of space beyond the known territories, something watched. It wasn't Virex, it wasn't human. It was older, smarter, waiting. A signal was sent. The humans have begun. Do we act? Not yet. Watch them. Learn from them. Wait for the right moment. And so in the deepest parts of the galaxy, a new player entered the game. Unseen, unknown, but ready. The stars were no longer quiet. Human ships moved like shadows through space. They struck where they were not expected, then vanished before the enemy could react. Ethan Blake stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, looking out at a burning Virex. Fleet drifting in silence behind him, Commander James Holloway stepped forward. "That's the fourth one this week," he said. Ethan didn't smile. He just nodded. "They're learning," Ethan said, "but not fast enough." James looked at the screen showing the battle data. "They thought we were weak," he said. "Now they know better." Ethan turned from the window. "No," he said. "They know we can fight. But they still don't understand who we are." A war like no other across human space. The war had begun in earnest. The Virex launched full-scale attacks on colony worlds. They dropped bombs from orbit. They sent massive warships into human systems expecting quick victories. They got something else. Human forces used hit-and-run tactics. They lured Virex fleets into traps. They used AI drones to overload enemy sensors. They built hidden bases inside asteroid fields and behind gas giants. And when the Virex tried to take control of a planet, they found the humans waiting. On Callus 9, the Virex landed thousands of soldiers. They expected an easy win. Instead, they walked into hell. Ethan Blake led the defense personally. His Marines fought house to house, street to street. They used old Earth tactics, ambushes, traps, and psychological warfare. At night, loudspeakers played messages in broken Virex. "You cannot win. We do not fear death. We are many." It worked. Virex soldiers began to panic. Some refused to go outside. Others broke ranks and ran. By the end of the week, the Virex had lost over half their force. Callus 9 was still human. Maya's gift to the War Maya Torres sat in her lab, watching as a new FTL drive powered up for the first time. It was faster than anything the Virex had. It could jump between systems without leaving a trace. It allowed human ships to appear behind enemy lines, strike, and disappear before anyone could respond. She tapped her communicator. "This is Torres," she said. "Project Dawn Mark II is ready. Send it to all fleet units." A voice came back. "Copy that. Deploying now." She leaned back in her chair and exhaled. "We've given them the edge," she whispered. Now, it was up to the soldiers to use it. The Virex fracture back in the Virex capital, leaders argued. They had believed the humans were a minor threat. Now they were losing entire fleets. "How?" asked one council member. "Why won't they fall?" asked another. "They fight like animals," said a third. "Like cornered beasts." "They don't just fight," said the leader of the conquered. "They adapt." There was silence. Then a message came in. "Human forces have taken control of the Corin system." More silence. "That was our strongest supply line," someone said. The leader looked around the room. "They are not just defending," he said. "They are taking what is ours." One of the younger members spoke. "Should we negotiate?" The leader stared at him. "No," he said. "They will only see weakness." Another voice. "Then we must destroy them." "Yes," the leader agreed. "Before it is too late." Muzdar's Daniel Harper unites the worlds on Earth. Daniel Harper stood before the world once more. He looked tired, older, but his voice was strong. "The Virex want to break us," he said. "They think if they drop enough bombs, if they kill enough, people will give up." He shook his head. "But we are not giving up." Behind him, footage showed battles across the colonies, human ships fighting in deep space, soldiers holding the line on distant planets, civilians building walls, fixing machines, helping each other survive. Daniel pointed at the screen. "Look at them," he said. "This is who we are." He took a breath. "We are not just defending ourselves. We are building something new. A future where no one tells us where we belong. A future where we decide our own fate." He looked straight into the camera. "From today, we are no longer just colonies. We are no longer just Earth's children." He raised his hand. "We are the Terran Defense Pact." And with that, the galaxy changed. The first defections. Not all Virex wanted war. Some saw what was happening and knew the truth. They were losing, and some among them had suffered under the Virex rule for too long. On the planet Xaros, a group of enslaved beings rose up. They were called the Relians, once a proud species now forced to work in mines and factories. When they heard about the human victory on Callus 9, they acted. They took over the Virex command center. They freed their people. And they sent a message. "We stand with humanity." Ethan Blake received the message while on patrol. He read it twice. Then he smiled. "This is it," he said. "This is how it changes." Soon, others followed. Other enslaved species reached out. Rebel groups formed. Sabotage missions hit Virex supply lines. The war was no longer just between humans and Virex. It was becoming a revolution. The Hammer of Truth Maya Torres sat in front of a large screen filled with alien code. She had been working non-stop, since the start of the war, trying to crack Virex communication channels. Finally, she found something, a secret file buried deep in an intercepted signal. She opened it. Inside were records of experiments, plans for bioweapons, files on human prisoners, orders to wipe out entire colonies. She felt sick. She sent the file to Daniel Harper. Less than an hour later, the world saw the truth. The Virex were not just fighting a war, they were planning genocide. Harper stood before the cameras again. "This is not just a war," he said. "This is a fight for survival." He held up a tablet. These files prove the Virex plan to wipe us out, to poison our worlds, to erase us from history. His voice grew louder. While I say this, we will not be erased. Behind him, footage played of the files, of the plans, of the cold, calculated orders. People across the colonies watched, and they understood. This was not just about land or power. This was about life, and the humans would not die quietly. A new kind of weapon, in a hidden base on Luna. Maya Torres oversaw the final test of something new. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a statement. The Hammer of Dawn was ready. It was a massive orbital platform equipped with black hole core technology. It could destroy entire planets in seconds. But Maya didn't want to use it. Not yet. She sent a message to Ethan. "I have something, but I need your help to decide what to do with it." Ethan replied quickly. "Send me the details." As he read the report, his stomach twisted. "This is insane," he muttered. But then he thought of Callus 9, of Orion Outpost, of the Relian slaves. He closed his eyes. "We might need it," he said. The turning point. The Virex launched their biggest attack yet. They targeted the human homeworld, Earth. Massive warships entered orbit. Planes dropped bombs on major cities. Millions fled underground, but the humans were ready. Ethan Blake led the defense from the USS Liberty. He coordinated strikes from every human ship in range. Maya Torres activated the new FTL drives, allowing ships to appear behind enemy lines. And Daniel Harper gave a speech that was broadcast across the galaxy. "If you want to see what happens when you try to destroy us, watch this." Footage showed the Hammer of Dawn in action, a single shot, a Virex world gone. Silence, then panic. The Virex fleet broke formation. They pulled back. Earth was safe. For now. The war has changed. In the days that followed, the balance shifted. The Virex were no longer winning. The humans were pushing forward. Colonies were growing stronger. Rebels were rising. And the galaxy was watching. Ethan Blake looked at the stars. "We're not just surviving anymore," he said. Maya Torres nodded. "No," she said. "We're winning." Daniel Harper stood in front of a new flag, the symbol of the Terran Defense Pact. He placed his hand on it. "We are not just fighting a war," he said. "We are building a future." And somewhere far away, in the dark corners of space, something else watched. Something older, something waiting. But for now, the humans had the stars, and they weren't letting go. The war had changed. It was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a fight for freedom, and humanity was winning. Ethan Blake stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, looking out at a burning Virex fleet. Smoke from shattered ships drifted through space like dark clouds. The battle was over, but the war was far from done. Behind him, Commander James Holloway walked up. "We're pushing deeper," he said. "Every day." Ethan nodded. "Good." James looked at the reports on his screen. "The Relians are with us now. So are the Core. And the Lyrans." Ethan smiled slightly. "That's more than half the galaxy." James frowned. "But the Virex still fight." "They always will," Ethan said, "until they have nothing left." A dangerous mission. Maya Torres sat in her lab watching as a new AI drone completed its final test. It hovered in place, glowing softly. She tapped her communicator. "This is Torres. I need a secure line to Luna Command." A few seconds passed before a voice came through. "You're connected. I'm sending you the specs for the new drone model," Maya said. "It can disable enemy systems without causing damage. Perfect for what we're planning." There was a pause. "You mean the prison worlds?" "Yes," Maya said. "If we want to break the Virex, we start by freeing their slaves." She looked at the drone again. "And showing them who we are." "Oyer." The capture. Ethan Blake led a small team behind enemy lines. Their mission: infiltrate a Virex prison world known as Varkos 7. It was one of the worst places in the galaxy, where the Virex kept millions of enslaved beings. Humans, Relians, Core, Lyrans, all forced to work under brutal conditions. Ethan and his team landed in silence. They moved fast. They wore stealth suits. They carried weapons that didn't make a sound. Inside the prison, guards were caught off guard. Ethan kicked open a door. Inside, rows of cages stretched into the dark. He pulled out a communicator. "This is Blake. We're inside. Prisoners are awake. We're getting them out." Outside, dropships began landing. One by one, people were freed. Some cried. Some laughed. Most just stared at the humans in disbelief. One old man reached out and touched Ethan's suit. "You're real," he whispered. Ethan nodded. "Yes, and you're free. That's real." A message to the galaxy back on Earth. Daniel Harper stood before the world. Behind him, footage played of the rescue on Varco 7, of freed prisoners, of human soldiers helping the weak and broken stand. His voice was calm, but strong. "We went in not to destroy," he said, "but to save." He paused. "The Virex think they own this galaxy, that they decide who lives and who dies. But today, we showed them something else." He pointed at the screen. "We showed them that we do not fight only for ourselves. We fight for everyone." He looked straight into the camera. "To every species trapped by the Virex, we are coming for you. And when we arrive," he smiled, "we bring freedom." Dakran, the hammer of Dawn Maya Torres, stood in front of a massive control panel. Before her was the Hammer of Dawn, the orbital weapon capable of destroying entire planets. She hated it, but she knew what it could do. She sent a message to Ethan. "I've reprogrammed the hammer. It can disable all military systems on a planet without harming civilians." Ethan replied quickly. "Send me the details." Minutes later, he read the report. Instead of destruction, the hammer would send an EMP pulse so strong it would shut down all Virex weapons, defenses, and communications. Ethan smiled. "This changes everything," he said. The final ultimatum. Daniel Harper stood once more before the galaxy. This time, he wasn't alone. Beside him stood leaders from the Relians, the Core, the Lyrans, and others. Behind them, the symbol of the Terran Defense Pact glowed brightly. Harper spoke. "The Virex have ruled this galaxy with fear, with chains, with fire." He stepped forward. "But that ends now." He held up a tablet. "This is our final offer." Behind him, footage appeared. Of the Hammer of Ton, of the disabled Virex fleets, of the growing rebel forces. "If you surrender," Harper said, "your people live, your cities remain, you keep your homes." He looked around. "But if you continue this war," he raised the tablet, "then you will be erased." Silence followed. Then the feed cut out. Across the galaxy, the message spread, and the Virex panicked. "The fall begins." In the Virex capital, leaders argued. The war was slipping away. Humanity was too fast, too smart, too many. One leader slammed his fist on the table. "We must strike back." He shouted. Another shook his head. "With what? Our fleets are broken. Our colonies are falling. Our people are afraid." A third voice spoke. "They offered peace," he said. "Maybe we should take it." Silence. Then the leader of the Concord stood. "No," he said. "We do not beg. We do not kneel." He looked around. "We fight until the end." And so, the last battle began. The battle for the Virex homeworld. Ethan Blake stood on the command deck of the USS Liberty. Below, the Virex homeworld burned, not with fire, with light. The Hammer of Dawn had fired. An EMP wave unlike anything seen before swept across the surface. Every Virex weapon system failed. Every shield dropped. Every defense grid went dark. The humans landed, not as conquerors, as liberators. Ethan led the first wave. His Marines moved fast. They fought hard. But they did not kill unless attacked. They found Virex civilians hiding in fear. They offered safety. They offered peace. Some accepted, others ran. Maya Torres arrived soon after. She walked through the streets speaking to former enemies. "We don't want your world," she told them. "We want your freedom." Behind her, banners of the Terran Defense Pact were raised. The war was over, but the future had just begun. A new order. Daniel Harper stood on the steps of the old Virex palace. Behind him, the sky was clear. The war had ended. The Virex leadership was gone. Now, something new would rise. He turned to the crowd. "Today marks the end of tyranny," he said, "and the beginning of unity." He looked at the leaders beside him. Relians, Core, Lyrans, and even some former Virex. "We are not here to rule," he said. "We are here to build." He raised his hand. "A new order begins today. One where no species is above another. Where freedom is not a gift, but a right." He smiled. "And where humanity stands among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors." Liam, in the shadows watch far beyond the edge of known space, something stirred. It was old, silent, watching. A signal was sent. "The humans have won. Should we act? Not yet. Watch them. Learn from them. Wait for the right moment." And so in the deepest parts of the galaxy, the next chapter began. But for now, humanity had the stars. And they weren't letting go. The stars were quiet again. But they were not empty. Human ships floated above once hostile worlds. Their lights blinked like fireflies in the dark. Peace had come, but not without cost. Ethan Blake stood on the edge of a new city built from the ruins of a fallen empire. It was called New Horizon, and it rose like a promise from the dust of war. He looked up at the sky. It was clear. No enemy fleets. No burning ships, just stars. Behind him, Commander James Holloway walked up. "You thinking about what comes next?" he asked. Ethan nodded. "We won. But this isn't the end," he said. "It's just the start." James looked out at the city. "What do you think's waiting for us out there?" Ethan didn't answer right away. "I don't know," he said finally. "But we'll be ready." Rycian, a new home among the stars, Maya Torres sat in her new lab, surrounded by engineers from many species. Humans, Relians, Core, even some former Virex. They worked together now. She tapped her tablet and brought up a screen filled with data. "This is the first joint research station between humans and our allies," she said. "Built from old Virex tech powered by human innovation." One of the Relian scientists smiled. "And run by all of us." Maya nodded. "Yes," she said. "This is how we build the future." Outside, the station orbited a peaceful planet. No weapons, no soldiers, only knowledge and hope. Daniel Harper's vision. Daniel Harper stood before a crowd of millions. Not just humans. Not just Earthlings. Relians, Core, Lyrans, even some former Virex. He raised his hands, and the crowd fell silent. "Today marks the birth of something new," he said. "Not an empire, not a kingdom, but a pact." He looked around. "The Terran Defense Pact is not just about protecting ourselves," he said. "It's about protecting everyone." He paused. "We fought for freedom. We won peace. And now, we offer both to every species willing to stand with us." Behind him, flags waved in the wind, each one different. Each one united. Ethan leads the way back on New Horizon. Ethan met with leaders from across the galaxy. Some were former enemies. Some were former slaves. All were now equals. A Relian leader stepped forward. "Thank you," he said, "for freeing us." Ethan shook his head. "You did that yourselves," he said. "We just gave you a chance." The Relian smiled. "Still, we are grateful." Ethan looked around the room. "This isn't just about gratitude," he said. "It's about trust, about working together." He leaned forward. The Virex ruled through fear, through control, through silence. He smiled. "We rule through strength, through unity, through truth. The room nodded, and for the first time in history, the galaxy stood together. Maya builds the future in orbit above New Horizon. Maya oversaw the launch of the first multi-species space station. It was called Unity 1. Inside, scientists shared knowledge. Engineers built new machines. Doctors studied diseases from across the stars. Maya stood at the center. "This is bigger than any one species," she said. "This is where we learn, where we grow." A young human engineer approached her. "Do you think we'll ever stop learning?" Maya smiled. "I hope not," she said, "because as long as we keep learning, we keep moving forward." She looked out the window. Beyond it, more stations were being built, more ships were flying, more colonies were rising, the galaxy was changing, and humanity was leading the way. The first signs of trouble far beyond the edge of known space, something watched. It was old, silent, waiting. A signal was sent. Humanity has risen. Should we act? Not yet. Watch them. Learn from them. Wait for the right moment. And so, in the deepest parts of the void, the unseen enemy prepared. But for now, humanity was safe. For now. The end of Fearon. Callus 9. Children played in the streets. They ran past old battle scars, walls still cracked from the war. Tanks buried under gardens, ships turned into playgrounds. Life went on. Lena Cruz, once a soldier, now a teacher, watched them from a bench. "You think they'll ever know what we went through?" she asked. Beside her, Ethan Blake sat down. "Maybe not," he said. "And maybe that's a good thing." Lena smiled. "Yeah," she said. "Maybe it is." They watched the kids chase each other. Laughing. Free. The galaxy remembers. Across the stars, statues were built. Not of kings or generals, of heroes Ethan Blake, Maya Torres, Daniel Harper, but also of the nameless soldiers, the brave rebels, the freed slaves. Their stories were told in schools, in books, in songs sung by many species. A Relian child once asked, "Why do you help us?" A human answered, "Because we've been where you were." And that was enough. A message to the unknown Maya Torres stood before a massive telescope. It pointed toward the edge of explored space. She tapped her communicator. "This is Torres," she said. "Begin transmission." A message was sent. HFY traveled far, past dead stars, past silent moons, past the edges of maps. It reached into the unknown, and it said, to whoever is listening, "We are humanity. We have survived war. We have learned peace. We have built something better. If you come in peace, we welcome you. If you come in war..." She paused. "Be ready to lose." The message ended, and somewhere in the dark, someone listened. The last words of War Daniel Harper stood before the world once more. This time, not to declare war, to declare peace. "The Virex are gone," he said. "Their rule is over. Their chains are broken." He looked around. "But we do not celebrate their fall," he said. "We mourn the pain they caused. We remember the lives lost." He took a breath. "But we also look ahead." He raised his, "And from today we move forward, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as friends." He smiled, as equals, and behind him the galaxy cheered. Ethan looks to the stars later that night. Ethan stood alone on a hill. He looked up at the sky. So many stars, so much space, so many questions. He whispered to himself, "We've only just begun." And then he turned and walked back to the city, to the people, to the future.